the Geneva Watchmaking Institute fell silent. It was September 2019, and the International Horological Symposium had drawn master watchmakers, precision engineers, chronometry experts, and luxury timepiece executives from across Switzerland, Germany, Japan, and other nations renowned for their clockmaking heritage to one of Europe's most prestigious technical institutions. Master Klaus Hoffmann sat at the center of the expert panel, his presence commanding immediate reverence from everyone in the ornate lecture hall. At 56 years old, the Swiss master watchmaker was considered one of the finest craftsmen in the modern horological world. He had apprenticed under fourth-generation Geneva masters for 12 years in the traditional Swiss manner, created over 300 luxury timepieces with his own hands that sold for prices exceeding $200,000 each to collectors worldwide. Won the prestigious Prix d'Ain Award for chronometric precision 4 times in his distinguished career. Served as chief technical consultant for 3 of Switzerland's most exclusive watchmaking houses, whose names were synonymous with luxury and perfection, and personally trained 63 apprentices over 3 decades, who now worked in prestigious ateliers across Europe and Asia. His technical expertise was legendary among horologists. His steady hands capable of manipulating components measuring mere fractions of a millimeter with absolute certainty. His knowledge of traditional Swiss methods, encyclopedic and revered. Beside him sat his longtime colleague, the respected master horologist Heinrich Weber, who had collaborated with Klaus for 20 years and shared his uncompromising standards for Swiss precision. Other panelists included a German chronometry specialist whose work on escapement mechanisms was studied in technical schools worldwide, a Japanese master watchmaker whose fusion of Swiss and Japanese techniques had earned international acclaim, and a French luxury brand executive whose company's timepieces were worn by royalty and heads of state across 5 continents. In the audience sat Marco Santos, a Filipino precision engineer in his early 30s with weathered hands marked by countless hours of meticulous handwork and observant eyes that noticed details others missed. He wore a simple dark suit that stood in modest contrast to the expensive tailored clothing and luxury watches worn by most attendees in the wealthy Geneva Symposium. He had qualified for the elite international program through exceptional performance in Southeast Asian engineering competitions, fighting through rigorous selection against candidates from wealthier nations with access to superior equipment, advanced training facilities, and prestigious apprenticeships. Growing up in Pampanga Province, one of the Philippines' central Luzon regions, known more for agriculture than precision engineering, Marco had learned metalwork from his grandfather, a skilled blacksmith who created farming tools and decorative metalwork for their rural community. With nothing but hand tools, a small forge, and decades of traditional knowledge passed down through generations, his grandfather could craft hinges, locks, and intricate metal designs with precision that amazed Marco even as a child, working by firelight with tools that Swiss masters would consider impossibly primitive. When the moderator opened the floor for questions from the assembled international horologists and engineering students, a Filipino cultural attaché stood and asked respectfully, "Master Hoffmann, the Philippines has been developing its precision manufacturing and technical education capabilities. What advice would you give to craftsmen from developing nations trying to compete at elite precision levels?" Klaus leaned forward to his microphone, his expression shifting to something between professorial condescension and paternal concern. He adjusted his own luxury wristwatch, a piece he had crafted himself worth more than a luxury automobile, and paused deliberately. With all respect to our Filipino colleagues, Klaus began in precise English with a refined Swiss-German accent. Elite watchmaking requires more than just technical training programs or modern equipment. It requires a culture of absolute precision, unwavering discipline, and manual dexterity that takes generations to cultivate properly. Nations like Switzerland have this embedded in our cultural DNA going back 4 centuries to our earliest clockmakers. We have generations of tradition. We train our apprentices for 12 to 15 years in proper atelier under master craftsmen working with the finest tools and most exacting standards. Filipinos are industrious people. Certainly you have skilled workers. Your OFWs work in many countries, but precision watchmaking. This demands steady hands, patience at microscopic levels, and technical discipline that frankly requires a very specific cultural background. I've observed workers from tropical developing nations. They have talent,